Ready? High energy. If they want it, let's give it to them.
Hold on. I shook them
So
off.
Brett and Ashley can't say that. I'm going to get to them back. All right. Welcome to Leadership in 320. I'm Brian.
I'm still Mitchell.
We are back with episode number 5.
Is that a question?
Is it 5?
I think so.
Number 5. And this time we're talking all about ultimately our view of characteristics of a strong leader. One you aspire to be and one you'd want to be behind.
Still a lot of aspirations.
Yeah, no, it's a work in progress, but I think that's with anybody. If you think of someone that's been in a leadership position or someone that's been in leadership for a long time, I don't think anyone's really settled in that. Already striving to.
So I'm going to put you on the
Get back.
hot seat right away. What is, I'm going to do this to you before you do it to me.
Oh, this will be good, I'm sure.
What would you say is your top characteristic of when you think of a good leader, someone you'd want to
Something you can
be working with? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty easy. I'd say got to be honest first and foremost. Because again, we talk about a leader, husband, father, boss, whatever it may be. Definitely those first two. If one can't be trusted, I sure wouldn't want to follow him into any kind of fire.
I mean, I guess that, that takes out a lot of other good characteristics that we'll probably hit on here too. I don't know if mine, I don't know if I'm cheating or going off of yours here with this. Mine, I was going to say integrity. So
Yeah.
I suppose that's pretty similar to
I'd say those are hand in hand.
being honest. I was going to say right away a good communicator, but then I was thinking about, I've probably seen quite a few really good BSers before that they might not be the most honest people, but they can sure talk pretty good.
Yeah, that guy writes a heck of an email, but you can't trust him with a dime. No, I think that's got to be it. Because there's some superficial things that happen with relationships with people you're working with, where I think you can get away with that for a while, or depending upon what capacity you're working in. Some of the non-genuine, dishonest type behavior or action, but that doesn't get you very far down the tracks.
No, like Brady always told us, he said, fake it till you make it. And I'm like, well, what happens once you get there?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like you could only do that for something like that for so long, though, until people kind of realize, hey, this guy isn't who he says he is, or talking
There's some
about.
elements to that, though. I think, I don't know how he meant it, but whenever I hear that line, I think of like the old imposter syndrome.
Well, you have to have confidence in
Yeah.
your abilities and what you're doing, but I mean, someone
Well, no.
who's all talk and not actually backing any of it up isn't going to be someone I really would enjoy following into battle either.
No, probably not. And I think that kind of goes with honest too. But the next thing I would hint at is, I don't like really anyone that pretends either a whole lot. As far as if someone asks you a question, how does this work? I think sometimes maybe I'm too honest. I don't know. I have no idea.
Well,
So, that's, you get respect lost, and you lose trust in a hurry if, you're making things up in between the lines, which usually I think if people took a step back, one, you don't look like an idiot. And two, usually in whatever organization, whatever you're working with, someone knows the answer. There's an expert to that.
Well,
so simply just point to them or bring them in the fold and say, how does this work?
Well, that's why I do. I say we're a team, and it's not just like an analogy or anything. But I mean, I truly do. It's like what I might not be good at, you might be, or this person might be. I mean, everybody has their own set of skills that makes them unique and useful to the organization. And you had saying about being honest before too. I always kind of joked with people. I'm like, I don't know if it's like my moral compass or my fear of getting caught, but usually I'm just pretty honest with stuff right away. I don't want to get caught up in a lie. I'd rather just flat out say, hey, I don't know. Or, I'll either find an answer for you or I'll find someone who's got it.
I didn't know which way you were going. I thought when you said moral compass, I was thinking of was thinking of the thing that goes like this.
Yeah,
As far as your morality, I can agree with that. But as far as the journey of life, yours
she's
has been a
always
little.
she's spinning around. It's broken.
Yours has been on steroids and was blindfolded.
A lot of great adventures though that I wouldn't have got into without that.
It's been fun to watch. No, I think right next to that, I think this is one of the biggest ones. Say it's with honest, whatever, but this is something I'm big on, and this is something I'm working on hard or being
Hopefully
cognizant
it's
of.
not leaving the grill unattended.
Yeah, that didn't.
I don't want this to be a common theme, but seriously, I apologize for anybody watching and picking up dry hunks of pork out of my mouth probably for the next 2-3 days.
I did preface. I've never done this before, but when I took the first bite, I said if I ordered this at a restaurant, I would send it back.
And you've never sent anything back?
I never have. That was not. I didn't.
I'm
enjoy
pretty.
that.
If I was blindfolded and I knew it was pork and I could tell, I could taste the bacon wrapped around it. That was pretty good. But I honestly think that if I was blindfolded and I tried taking a bite of this, giving just my honest opinion, I would have guessed that the first and only direction was turn all of the. Now I'm blanking on. Good
God,
Lord,
this is a heck of a bird.
Great. There we go. That's what I needed. Turn all the burners on high. Set it there. Leave it for as long as you think it needs to be on there. Walk away for a half hour, and then take them off when they're smoldering.
Like it would have been fine if I did that, but the tastes like it was left in the dehydrator about 2 hours before that.
Yeah, I've had jerky that's got more moisture in it than those.
It wasn't the best effort, and
the potatoes were really good.
No, that's good.
The potatoes were great. I ate about 2 pounds of those.
It looks like you could miss a half meal or so here and there. So I think you're just fine.
Well,
I'm sure you'll make up for it. I'm sure you'll smoke a Jack's pizza before you go to bed tonight.
Yeah, I don't miss out on dessert.
Mitchell didn't know there was a produce section in the grocery store. He thought it was just the frozen foods aisle, bakery.
I don't know. The first and only thing I usually look for in the newspaper ads for the grocery stores, I would say, are either are the blueberries and strawberries on sale, and then I immediately go for the ice cream and see which kind they got. So those are like the only 2 things I look at. Then maybe
First 2 things are surprising. Maybe try a banana and some oats once in a while.
I don't like bananas that much.
Anyways,
sorry about that. I got sidetracked.
I think when I think of characteristics and something I'm striving for, or trying to be cognizant, having the front of the old radar, is predictability.
You want to be predictable?
I want to be predictable. As far as behavior, I don't think it's fair in our line of business, if you're talking student, staff member, parent, spouse.
Can I tweak yours? How about instead of predictable?
You predict your own.
Predict my. All right, you go ahead.
Not predict your own. You tweak your own.
All right.
I just think it's completely unfair to anybody that you're serving if they don't know what they're going to get from anyone. Like I said, if it's a parent, community member, anyone for that matter, lack of life, how unsettling it is if you go to somebody, you don't know what you're going to get. If you're going to get the crazy guy, you're going to get the guy that's always in a pissy mood. You're going to get the guy that's happy all the time, jumpy. I mean, there's got to be a constant there as far as leadership goes. And sure, there's ebbs and flows, ups and downs. If you're feeling things personally, and we've talked about this before, we're not advocating for keeping everything in and getting ready to blow one day.
No.
But taking care of yourself. So wherever you're at, your spots, whether you're being the boss, whether you're being the dad, the husband, you're a constant. Mm-hmm. That's something I'm really striving, because sometimes I can be a little like this, maybe more so at home, I would say, with, in my dad duties and my husband duties. But being, I think, a really good leader, you know what you're going to get every time. Mm-hmm. They're this presence that I hope is calming, but it's someone you can lean on, and you know what you're going to get every time. So, you talk to them. Every time.
Me going my way, I'm going to say the same exact thing as you, except I'm changing my word from predictable to consistent. Yeah. I want to keep people on their toes. I don't want to be super predictable, but I do. I think of home. where it is hard every now and then. You shouldn't let your mood dictate how things go. You know, if the kids are doing the same certain thing for the last 3 nights and you're laughing and thinking it's hilarious or whatever else, and then this next night you get home and the fuse is down to not much anything, and they do that same thing, then, oh, Daddy, I thought this was funny the other night. And then they do it again. You're like, knock it off or whatever. I mean, what is? I mean, that's not fair to them, or,
predictable. You could say the same thing about unpredictability. Consistent. You could be consistently atrocious too.
That's
Maybe consistently bad.
Well, you could also be predictably unpredictable.
What? This guy's crazy.
Wrap your mind around
this
that.
Guy is an absolute wild card. I don't want anyone refusing. Everyone referring to me as a wild card. Which, again, we could talk. We're not going to get diverted. Depending upon who you were talking to, I could be called just that. For example, the field of athletic play a few years ago, and have a little bit of my fuse was
that was
short.
That wasn't unpredictable. We knew you were going to be crazy.
Which, again, that's part of growing up. Well, I wish I wasn't that way in the first place.
Another great characteristics of a leader: growth.
No, I think so. And one's got to be committed to it. And I think that goes back to the whole thing where one's not going to have all the answers and really ever. And we talked about that last week. Is it being a journey? I don't think there's ever a box that can be checked. Again, like we said, I did it. Oh, I'm a fantastic leader, whatever it may be. I mean, it's on a scale, certainly. But one's got to be committed to it. Again, I think you get stale. You don't want to be the stale cracker of a leader. That's just sitting hampered up in the pantry. Nothing changes. And that little line thrown in there is, what did it? Whenever I try to do this, it doesn't come out well. I can't really remember. I can remember it in my head, but then when I try to spit it out, it's like with me in song lyrics.
I understand.
I know. Mine's not concussion related like yours. I don't know what mine is.
See, I got an excuse at least.
Yeah, you got about 8 good excuses.
It's pretty impressive for not playing any contact sports.
Yeah, well, you got her done in some interesting ways. But this is how we used to do things. Is a line that comes out of the last words of a already dying organization.
Yeah,
kind of like that. Just. Again, and I'm kind of a traditionalist, kind of an old soul when it comes to things. I kind of like, this has worked forever. This is a long time. So I think there's a balance there. But also, if we're going to continue to do things the way we've always done, there's probably not going to be a lot of change, which is good. Sometimes, if the ship is steadied, again, there's that balance between we can always push. You can always get better. But sometimes it's okay to relax and just take in some little bit of calm waters once in a while. I think a guy needs that, whatever that looks like in life or leadership. Yeah. Recognize when things are going good, but
I think that's all part of it, because with growth, I mean, you don't just grow into a big tree overnight. I mean, it takes time, it takes effort. I mean, you have to focus on it. You're not. Sometimes it just happens with experience and just day-to-day things. But I mean, typically, you're not going to grow unless you got to feed it.
And sometimes you got to measure it too. Because I think sometimes one thinks that they're not doing anything or getting anything done, but that's why you got to reflect once in a while or write some things down and realize, sometimes I think as far as characteristics of a leader, I think they got to be reflective. That's another one.
Well, that's a good one.
The top of my list is, sometimes I think you're in it. If someone's always chasing something, which again, there's a balance, because I like to win. I like to do good.
It's good to have aspirations.
Yeah, so you want to keep moving, whatever that means, goals with the people you're working with, whatever you want to kind of charge forward. I like being the best. I like being good at things. Doesn't happen very often, but I aspire to it.
You seeing that thing too?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I'm glad you're seeing it too. I thought it was maybe a cataract for your left eye. Anyways, to go with the glaucoma or whatever else I got going.
I think glaucoma you can see less.
That's like, I made a fuzzy. I'm seeing something. Maybe that's something else. anyways, no. But I mean, I think sometimes when you're chasing something, which it's good to chase. I love people that are chasing something, which that can be an endless journey too and drive you mad. But, you know, chasing will be better each day. But sometimes you get so caught up in that you don't realize that you're actually like in the middle of it as far as like when you're dream chasing. You know what I mean? Sometimes guys got to sit back and do a little look around and be like, my God. You know what I mean? At one time where you were at, it's like, I did it. You know, I'm here, and then that's always pushing forward. But
Well, yeah, and that's
got to give yourself a little carrot once in a while.
Well, I think the dreamers and the goal setters, and that's part of it, is the people who do that typically don't set themselves one goal, and then they get to it whether it took them a half hour or 50 years. You know, they usually don't do that. Be like, I'm done. I've done it all. Like, I mean, they're immediately going to do that. I think that gets lost.
You gotta have a balance there.
And that's, to me, that's another great characteristic is I think as a leader, you need to celebrate yourself and celebrate everybody that's within your organization and just within your whole family. Because if you're just, you know, we talked before about if you're just got your head down grinding every day and all you're doing is focusing on, oh, we're paying these bills or we're getting this checklist done and we're doing all that and you're just knocking things out, I mean, that's great and you have to do that. But I mean, if you're not celebrating the, you know, big things, little things, just, you know, hey, it's Monday night. Let's celebrate, you know what, the start of the week.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta keep that going too, I think.
No, all those things are important. We've talked about a few things. I think presence, we've talked about the other ones. As far as a leader goes, there's nothing that's a bigger turnoff, I don't think, is when you're trying to talk with somebody and they're not engaging with you. You know, whether you bop into, I'm picturing myself, I guess, not being that spot. Someone comes in to talk to you and you're finishing up an email or whatever, because I'm kind of a type A. It's like I want things squared away.
It happened to me today. It's nice to be able to get to finish it.
But it's like, my gosh, either stand up from your darn desk or push the chair back and, you know, make eye contact with that person. Because it's so easy to forget that, you know, when you have X amount of interactions a day, but if that's only that one person's interaction with you, I mean, you can look like an absolute dweeb.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You can just look like an absolute piece if you're not engaged with that person. Because I think how I would feel, you know, if I go in to, you know, my bosses or ex-bosses or just anybody for that matter, if someone's not willing to stop what they're doing for 30 seconds to talk with you, I mean,
no one's that important.
No, but you're showing them how important they are, which you're making them feel about that small for.
That's what I mean. But like, no one's that important that they can't give you.
Well, no,
it's
but
a choice.
But I'm saying the other way too. I mean, if you're telling someone in your actions, which usually it's in your actions or lack thereof, that, you know, they're not worth that minute or two at a time. I mean, my goodness, that can get ugly pretty quick.
Well, I mean, what kind of message are you sending?
No, guys got to be close to that. One thing I was going to say, hopped around just a hair, is you said something about, you know, sitting back and celebrating yourself once in a while. Whether it's in quiet, you know, I think a lot of the leaders they're doing that quietly, you know, whatever that looks like for you. They're probably not, you know, bringing home a cake from the bakery. Look what I did today. I'm the best. I'm the best. I'm the best there ever was.
Once a month, I get a bakery cake, and I just put number 1 on there.
Yeah, I can see. This is making more sense.
I did. Honestly,
where do you eat that? In your car? You haul that around in your trunk? No, I want to get to this. I'm gonna forget about it. I'm interrupting you before you even start.
Don't even need to get
see
started.
The big hamster wheel turning.
Oh, she's squeaking.
If you had a hamster wheel in there, that thing that's quite a big revolution.
Can you imagine?
It's a big revolution.
There's a lot of space. I could probably get 4 hamsters running side by side on that thing.
Oh my gosh! I heard something creaking in there. Maybe it was your knees.
Yeah, it's rusted out.
It's rusted out. Yeah, that's right. Oh my gosh!
Get to your point.
No, you had made a good point. You said about celebrating yourself but celebrating others.
Everybody, not just.
You said celebrating yourself. No, that's what I'm getting to. You said celebrating yourself, which is important. Yeah. I think it's important to give yourself a pat on the back once in a while. You don't want to be your own worst enemy. But celebrating yourself. I think this is like at the core of leadership. I say that a lot with some things, but there's a lot of things at the core of leadership. That's whining right in the middle of it. And maybe not even leadership, but just humanity in general. Because I hate when people say, "Oh, there's hardly any people like that anymore," or whatever else. You know,
They don't make them like they used to.
People don't do that anymore. It's like, hush, you're not looking hard enough then. But that being said, because it does seem to be, I mean, it's certainly not everybody, because I can think right away, my head just goes to some people like that, is one, a genuine leader, how they can get 100% excited about something that someone else did or accomplished, ultimately like it was their own.
Yeah.
And not taking credit for it or anything, but like, look what that person did. That just got me jacked. You know, whether you know it, you know, whether it's somebody you're working with and they did this, it's like, oh my God. You know what I mean? If you have that association with them or even not, you know, if you're, you know, for us, we like watching sports, of course, but anything when someone's accomplishing something great, if it's whatever else, or if you see something in the news where someone did this fundraising effort or whatever it may be, it's like, if that gets you like juiced, like pumped up. And I think that's not super common. But when you think of someone like that, again, whether it's we're talking leadership or outside of leadership, but if you have someone like that in your corner that's literally genuinely excited, like is pumped for your own accomplishments.
I want to work with them every day.
Well, yeah, because you don't want, because there's plenty of people, and again, I hate that with the negative connotation, but there is plenty of people that, you know, they like to see the timber fall sometimes.
Well, look at any social media post, and the first ones are pretty much people are jumping on our negative type things. And
you know, and that's whether it's something, that's when something bad happens to somebody, as far as, you know, if trying to think, like, again, referencing like the sports world or whatever, if a head coach gets canned for whatever reason, everyone jumps, oh, he was terrible, he's been terrible from the jump. But sometimes you find more negativity in the positive things. You know, if someone wins award, or if he's recognized, or he or she is recognized for whatever else, people are like, oh, whatever, you know, how'd they do that? And they deserve that. Ultimately what they're saying, because there's, you know, some envy there, some jealousy there, and, you know, why ever that's harbored that way. But I think that's rather common too. But I mean, give me all the people that are like genuinely like pumped for you. When something good happens to them, that makes your day. You know what I mean? I love that. And I think that's what optimism, we've talked about that. I mean, that's all comes back to the same deal.
It is. I mean,
positive.
I don't know how in this scrambled mind I'm truly thankful that for whatever reason, I don't get jealous. I feel of other people and other things. Like I see somebody, you know, got this or has that, or, you know, they accomplished this or that. It is like, I take a moment almost just to think, you know, or envision what it took for them to get to that point, or to, you know, to accomplish that kind of a thing. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, all joking aside, for just one moment, I really do. I mean, I'm glad, because I don't know what it would be like to just constantly be thinking, you know, or trying to rip people down instead of kind of help raise them up, or, you know, give them a moment. I'm trying to think. I don't know what, I just saw this yesterday. I don't even have his name either, so it's terrible. But who the U.S. sprinter who won gold? And
there's a couple of those.
But just in his time, though, he had said something about how it's hard for him, because knowing that he's now a world champion. And he said, did you see this? Seeing how an NBA, when the NBA finals come on, he said how it's so hard for him, because he sees that when they win, then they raise up this banner and it says world champions. He's like, world champions of what? The United States. And so again, instead of even just celebrating himself, he used his 15 seconds to rip that down. And then, you know, he had NBA players kind of after him. And you know, so that positive of him, that huge accomplishment, is kind of diminished now to, it's not even people talking about him and how he won, it's people talking about him and his kind of negative comments and everything else. It was kind of overshadowed.
Maybe not the best use of time there. But I think part of that, what you're saying too. I mean, there's you know, again, that's probably on a spectrum of sorts. My God.
No way.
I don't think so.
those little sausage fingers aren't going to grab much of anything.
Couldn't reel them in. There's a selfishness or unselfishness, which again, another quality of a great leader is being completely selfless. And again, that's all facets of leadership. Someone, honestly, that goes to ultimately, when you think of leadership, servant leadership, you're putting someone else's needs in front of yours, which again, that's not perfect. Certainly something that I strive to do, be mindful of. I don't think there's a perfect science to it. But I think ultimately what that comes down to is, one, if you're doing that really well, when you're going to get, I want to say burnt, you're going to get tired. It's going to wear you out, which it should. I've said this, we're just getting rocking and rolling. You should be tired at the end of the day. I've never, what are you saving it for? Saving it up again for the next day, I should be.
I have sleep apnea. I wake up tired.
I mean, I thought that's what the machine is for. I'm glad you got that sleep machine, because a couple times you go on little trips or whatever, I'd wake up in the middle of the night because it was so quiet. I'd have to tap you when you hadn't taken a breath in about a minute and 40 seconds.
I took a big one after that, though.
Mitchell? Yeah, you sucked up all the oxygen in the air. like a whale. I don't know how they did. Whale. Come up for breath about every couple of minutes. Go back down. So I'm glad to hear that. No, although yours, you could probably spend a little more money next time. I think that one runs on gasoline. It sounds like a generator.
Well, they should tell me when I don't get all that, with the shortages of everything, they did tell me that my machine was a knockoff version of a knockoff. So
no, and it got left on a Frontier plane.
It was Husqvarna.
Another. That was too bad that happened. We'll share that story another time. We haven't gone a whole lot of places. We have a lot of stories. They're probably not that interesting, but they make me laugh.
That makes me angry.
Kind of makes me funny. It makes me funny. It makes me laugh.
Stories make me funny.
That makes me giggle. I think it's funny. I think it's funny when bad things happen to you. I'm just kidding. What did I say earlier? No.
Oh my gosh.
So all things aside, people should know that, as far as like an atmosphere where people are being torn down and stuff, we're preaching against it. But my list is very short, and you're on it. A couple are where I hope we're comfortable enough and
tearing you down. That's
each other up.
Getting torn down by you. That's my love language.
You tearing me down. That actually gives me joy. I look forward to the material you come up with.
The day I stop trying to make fun of you, because I usually don't do a great job of coming up with stuff, or I get rambled and lost in my own thoughts. But the day I stop doing that, just know that something bad's going to happen to one of us probably. So
I actually would be worried, because I'd feel like something I was really slipping somehow. Yeah. Whether it be with,
I still got some of the stuff stuck in my teeth.
Or whatever. Huh?
I said I still got some of the pork stuck in my teeth.
Oh, we got an extra toothbrush. Grady got one of those toothbrush back scratchers from the fair. Look at those chompers. You might need it. Buy toothpaste by the 5-gallon drum. Pump it out like the oil. The big old toothbrush. You have to have Dirk hold it like this. He pulls it across. Anyways.
I got a conveyor belt pumping the brush to put it on there.
Yeah, instead of using the sink, you turn on the shower to get it wet. Fresher. That's why those forearms are popping a little bit.
Oh my god!
Got that new toothbrush.
Yeah, she's heavy.
Like one of those big 2-man saws they used to have. Cut big trees down.
It's the size of a boat horse.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, God, you're dumb.
No, I was talking about being unstupid. Being unselfish.
Oh, man.
Which someone's doing that right. Again, ultimately putting your needs behind others, which I think that's kind of what leadership is all about sometimes. But with that, there's got to be some behind the scenes work to keep yourself sharp. Unselfish, what I've found, which again, definitely a work in progress, not an expert, not saying I am, never will be. But you got to find that time, and you got to find a means to take care of yourself get yourself in a good spot so you can go out and do that each day. So whether that's staying up later, doing your thing, doing things that get you set up, if you're staying up past the kids and letting the old wife fall asleep on the couch. So then you can, again, if whatever that is for you, if it's watching a show on Netflix, whatever, if you're cranking out some push-ups doing that, or if you're going for a run, whatever it may be, but you got to get rid of all the darn excuses and get your butt up earlier in the day. Stay up later. You got to find time to keep yourself in a good spot so you can continue to do that at a high level. Because it's the whole, what do you call that? The whole deal where, what is it? The plane. You got to get yourself.
Get your own mask. Oxygen mask before you help
oxygen
others.
Mask, get your own life jacket on before you do it. But I like that. But honestly, I think there's a fine line there where, I think about leaders. And again, this is my personal opinion is, you don't want to be the leader, just being frank, that has the stuff he knows that's sickly all the time, which again, you can't control a lot of that, but you got to be sharp a lot of the time, or try really hard to be. Yeah. So, you don't want to be the whiner, you don't want to be the guy that's, I don't know. I just think it's so critical. And again, I completely understand that there's circumstances, certainly. And I'm not saying that can happen to anybody, where something enables you, whatever else, an accident, illness. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying if you are healthy and if you can take care of yourself in a manner where you can take care of others, whatever that looks for you, whether you're hitting the treadmill, eating right, meditating. But again, you got to be in a spot, because as a leader in any position, you're going to take some lumps. You're going to get some bumps. You're going to get some bruises along the way. And, ultimately, can you withstand that? Can you take some shots? Not only for yourself, can you take some shots for others too? Because a good leader does that.
Yeah, have to.
But again,
can't throw anybody else under the bus, whether it was your fault or not.
No, but again, that's going to happen. There's going to be challenges in any leadership position. I don't know any position that there wouldn't be. It wouldn't be very fulfilling if it wasn't. But ultimately, how do you get yourself in a spot where you can do that day in and day out? Whatever that looks for you. Because if you can't do that, you ain't going to be in the game very long. And that's any game. And if you do hang around for a while, you're not going to be very effective.
Well, listen, I think it's interesting, just the individuality of it, of just being a leader, and just anybody in general is what... we obviously we're focused, it doesn't look like it all the time, but for unwinding, we like, working out, running, whatever it is. But it's just funny that, for someone's unwinding might be someone else's just absolute nightmare. I absolutely love mowing, where, if I go home from work and get home at 5:30 or whatever, I'm getting on the mower, putting some music on, like, that sounds fantastic. Where to somebody else that might be like, God darn it, I gotta spend 2 hours and mow now after doing that. And, someone else might not want to go running. And
gotta do something that gets you in a good headspace and something you can commit to again, consistent, whatever that looks like. And hopefully, again, it's a positive means of doing it, or I should not say a positive, maybe a healthy means of doing it, because of course there's plenty of ways to unwind, many of which have their purpose on any given time. But again, just as far as, it's a grind. And I think sometimes when you say it's a grind, it's a negative context. Gotta love the grind, love the challenges, whatever else.
I say metal sharpens metal.
Yeah. You're not going to wish them away either. I think sometimes...
It would almost be boring. If everything just went completely smoothly and perfect, and everything was, that's not any fun either, because you're not going to grow then.
And some of it's human nature too. Like, say you get a couple of bills or something goes on at work, a couple bigger things in a week. It's like, a couple of things that cut your knees out a little bit, that are pretty tough things to manage and deal with. But on the flip side of the coin, you have a good 6, 7, 8 days in a row, nothing goes on. This guy's not leaving work and thinking, another good one. Got it. You don't get home and tell your spouse, God, we had another great day today.
This was the
Keep
worst.
racking them up. You know, if something bad happens, you know, I'll be fine because it's just
This
been
was
good.
4 days in a row.
Yeah. You know, it's the other way, though. It's like, oh my God, had another bad thing or another crazy thing happen. It's like, well, how many days has that not happened? You know, you forget about the 6 in between there. Big
Well, it is, and
whiner.
that's why I said you gotta celebrate when you can. Celebrate the good ones, and
No, and you gotta get yourself. Like someone to visit with. If you're in a leadership position, challenging position. Again, leadership is so broad, as we talked about last week. That's not defined by position or title. Somebody say that, don't get minced. Leadership position, spouse, wife, husband. You know, leader at work. Again, that can look like a variety of things. Not the boss per se, but jeez.
you got a pack of rhinos running around. Is it a pack of rhinos? Maybe that's a poor herd of rhinos, herd of elephants.
I don't know what that would be. I guess
I'll look it up later.
I think you got to be careful in, you know, if you're lucky enough to have a partner, that's your partner, which there's nothing better than that. But, you know, not burning them out either, because gosh, there's nothing worse than a flop. I tell everyone this is terrible. I'll just be honest. She used to have a really challenging job. Not like she doesn't now, but she had a challenging job when we were
emotionally draining.
Newly
position.
married, and she's got a big heart, so it was tough. So she would call, and it was after I was getting done with work, and you know I had my own things bopping around in my head from the day. And my goodness, well, she can talk anyways, but she would talk like the whole commute home about all these crazy things, like not good things that hurt your heart that she was dealing with, and she was beat up from it. But I mean, there was times where I honestly I wouldn't even put on speakerphone because I could hear. I wouldn't have anything on the car, and I would honestly like have to hold it. That sounds terrible. So I could just hear noise because she had to get it off her chest. She really wasn't looking for anything from me, but God, you know, my cup already felt a little full, and then hers was spilling over into mine. So the reason I say that, and maybe people are just a lot better husband than I am. That's probably that could definitely be the case. I don't do that. Make practice. I always listen. That was just a stretch of time. But you know, you don't want to be, you know, coming home and just, you know, your spouse can't be the dumping ground all the time too. You know, so I think it is important to pitch into. Luckily, I got you for something instead of just making me bad suppers and taking up space.
Not completely useless.
No.
You're
So
welcome.
you know, you and I are pretty lucky that one, we're in the same line of business, so we get to visit a little bit. But even, you know, I mean, I think, you know, what does that look like to be in a leadership position and doing things in a healthy manner? And
But
again, I'm not advocating bundling everything up, but
But-
what does that look like? You know, you got to burn it off.
What is, but and I think we do a good job of balancing too. Of, you know, our conversations and things. It's not just, you know, it's nice that we have each other to do that, but we're also getting to throw some of the victories, some of the funny things that happen, this and that, you know, with, you know, all the positives as well. So I feel like that kind of helps balance it out.
I think you have
know?
to, because, you know, well, one, there's research on this too, but I mean, what you're putting into the atmosphere, I mean, that becomes what you think. So if you're going home and telling anybody or everybody that, you know, oh my God, this is so hard or whatever else, and I think you have to be mindful of that too, which there's nothing better than having some people doing the same job that you can go and talk with. This is interesting.
Not sure what's going on.
Usually we do this later in the evening when there's not a couple of rascals running around tearing apart the
We got
place.
a bonus one tonight too.
But
Did you buy metal grates for for toys?
I'm a little concerned about what that is.
Who knows what we'll step out into here.
Sounds like there's going to be paint chips on the floor from something rubbing. That's not supposed to. Anyways, you know, again, there's a balance to that, certainly. But again, taking care of yourself so you can take care of your other folks. I mean, doing things you enjoy. But what I found is when people say, well, there's not enough time. And to a point, that's right. You know, the work day, whatever else. But there's always time. You know, someone said a long time ago, I saw this where interchange the words or the line, and this will bust you up a little bit too if you're talking about with your kids. If you give someone the line, again, in whatever leadership capacity, and say, I don't have time for that right now, they said, interchange the word time with, that's essentially not a priority for me right now. So instead of, I don't have a time for that right now, that's not a priority for me right now. Because essentially you're saying the exact same thing.
Yeah, I don't like that.
So again, if your old Dirk's old boy comes up and says, Pa,
For starters, if he says that'll be like, easy little Joe.
Pa, put those potato chips away. come play catch with me outside. I don't have time for that, boy. No. I'm just kidding. But instead of saying that, if you were busy on the old internet machine, although we learned from an earlier episode that you don't have email access, you got a desktop at your office. You'll respond. I just kidding. He said that. He said, don't you have the app? They do have a Gmail app. That was a joke.
Dumb.
Anyways, though, but instead of, honestly, so picture yourself watching that. He comes in all excited. Dad, you want to throw the football around a little bit? And you're busy again. Whether you got your potato chips by the side or not, you might have potato chips. Maybe. No.
Not when I'm typing. I don't like my workspace dirty.
In between each one.
Ick.
Anyways, so I say, hey, you know what, buddy? Completely innocent. You're not snapping at him or nothing. Say, you know what, buddy? I don't have time for that right now. Okay? Go back to typing. Still, he's probably a little bummed out, but carry on. But what you're actually saying then is if you looked at him and said, you know what, that's not a priority of mine right now to play catch with your kid. Then you're all of a sudden you're an evil son of a gun. That sounds bad. But the same as, with things with work, you just got to be, there's certainly, someone used to tell me that I was working with, and again, this is all a balance. The leadership dance, that'll be another one, is delegate or die. Know what I mean? Someone said, because to a point, again, there's a balance. You got to have people, one, if they're the expert at doing it, you want them doing it. But, there's a capacity issue. And that's with not just the leader. That's with, you got to be in mind that everyone has a capacity at work. And sometimes, another thing we'll talk about is you don't want to max out the capacity of, you got your really good people. You can't go back to the same old well every time. No. But, no, as far as that looks, is... Again, and we've talked about, I think this was our first episode, as far as the leaders, strong leaders are the givers of time. I know what the kind of people that I absolutely love, and there's, again, I don't think it's super common, is whether you know it or not, if they're busting at the seams, they don't have a ton of time, and they give it to you every single time, and they don't make you feel like they're doing you this grand favor. You can think of the people.
Well, you think they have all the time in the world.
Yeah, when you think of some people, because I've worked with, there's levels. One will flat out tell you no. Some people might say, no, not doing that right now. Don't have time. Got too much stuff going on. And maybe even worse than that is someone gets up, and check yourself as a parent too.
Never mind.
Know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's like, I don't need that right now.
No, but think of that even with
doing me a favor.
With your kids too, if you're doing that. And groaning. It's like, know what I mean?
Jeez.
Know what I mean? I guess so. It's like, come on. I mean, and I'm sure I've had instances of that, but gosh, I hope that's not the vibe I give out. And again, these are things
it is when I ask you to do something.
Yeah, well, that's because you're usually asking me for some undesirable task. Not, Brendan, you want to go golfing? Sure. Hey, you want to go in my crawl space and mix up cement?
I did. For some context, I did that yesterday. I went in my crawl space by myself. He just happened to be over. I didn't even ask for help because it was exceptionally
full
undesirable.
Disclosure, I did not go down there. I was listening to the Twins game, relaying it down to you while eating your gummy bears out of your closet.
They said you didn't eat the gummy bears.
Dirk's gummy bears. You didn't have much else in there. I needed something.
Yeah, but there was a bag of Sour Patch Kids.
I didn't find them.
Good. It's a small bag. Usually we got that 2 pound or.
I already ate a whole small bag of something out of there, and I didn't tell nobody about it.
What was it?
The gummy lifesaver things.
Yeah,
There was only like 10 of them in there. I took a handful, and then there was only 3 left in there. So I was like, well, what do I do now?
I mean,
so I ate it and got rid of the evidence.
I don't know. He's probably not missing out on them too much.
No. And there's something we'll talk about too. You know, some leaders just have the it. You know, they have it, whatever that is. And, you know, there's a lot to be said about being genuine and such, but I am in the frame of mind as of late too. You know, if you see someone, if you're like, gosh, you know, that person really does things a good way or whatever, you know, as far as you emulating them or whatever it may be, you know, I think you can be genuine to yourself. But if you don't like something about yourself, I realized this very recently, you don't have to continue to be that way.
No.
Know what I mean? If you're like, God, I hate when I do this, or why do I do this? Or, you know, if it's something as simple as I want to get up earlier, or why am I, you know, a jerk when someone's asking me of this, you know, I want to be more happy-go-lucky. You know, I don't want to, you know, why do I continue to be negative Nancy about these things? You know, why can't I be a little more optimistic? Again, you know, you can change things a little bit.
Listen, we'll say the same thing with Mom every now and then, you know, and she'll even kind of catch herself now, or if she says it around me, you know, it's always well, I wish this. And it's like, well, you just wish something that is 100% possible and that you're, you know, 100% capable of doing.
This missed the first episode with the technical error. Like you saying, God, you're about in tears over there telling us, God, you're feeling down. Like, geez, Mitchell, what's the matter? You said, God, I wish I would have taken Mom to that. What was it?
It was Beauty and the Beast, that Chanhassen.
Beauty and the Beast and Chanhassen. It's like, God, I just wish I would have done
that.
No,
I said it was one of my greatest regrets.
Greatest regrets. And finally, I'm like, my God. I'm like, first of all, for people listening, Mary is still with us. She's on this earth. And doesn't the Beauty and the Beast play twice a year down there? Why don't you buy tickets as soon as we get off of here today?
It's been like 6 or 7 years.
No, I wish I would have done that. I want to make that happen. I might buy you and Mom a ticket.
I thought you were going to say you were going to buy Mom a ticket and take her.
No,
tell me.
Doesn't sound like my thing. I'll buy you guys one. Oh. I think there is, though. I mean, there's so many things, but I think that's the close we can leave on here tonight is, you know, if you don't like something about what you're doing, I mean, sometimes, and again, life stinks. There's always challenges, but, you know, sometimes you're not going to hit that window of sun. Know what I mean? Or, gosh, I'm just going to get this done, then I'm going to do this. You know, if this happens, you know, this, and this happens, then I'm going to make this change. Or, oh, well, if this just didn't happen, you know, then I'd be able to do that. It's like, no, how about tomorrow?
Yeah.
And again, this reminder of myself, if you don't like something, change it. Do something different. Believe it or not, if you aren't a huge fan of yourself as of late or what you got cooking, do something different.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't like what you're seeing tonight, you don't make any changes. You're probably not going to like it in the morning either.
Yeah, if tomorrow, or if yesterday sucked, the day before that, the month, whatever else, do something else.
Yeah,
might surprise yourself a little bit, but like as we've talked about, you know, if you make some choices, very conscious choices, I am going to do this today. Instead of eating this Jack's pizza, which I probably will do in a little while, you know, I'm gonna
second supper.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a protein shake instead. You know what? I'm gonna go for a run. Hey, instead of running a mile, I'm gonna run 3 miles today. Then pretty soon this is how we do things. Like we've said, you know, this is how we do things. Turned in, well, this is who I am. This is how I do things.
Yeah,
I think that's what a guy's got to do. But again, on the front end, it's got to be very conscious. But we talked about a few things tonight as far as characteristics of a leader. You know, I think there's somewhat of an endless amount that one could argue, or we talk about the Madden points, build a player. You know, if you had 100 points, what would you allot it to as far as characteristics? But honestly, I think honest rise to the top, because I don't see how you could serve in any capacity as a leader, as a spouse, as a parent, as a boss at work, whatever capacity you're in. I mean, if you're untrustworthy, I mean, that is, I don't think you can say a turnoff. That makes me
Well, no, I mean you'd be second guessing every single thing they did, every single thing they said, and I mean it'd be
can't do it. Sometimes
tough.
even honest to a fault, but guys got to be trustworthy.
Yeah, and then for me, like I said, integrity.
No, got to do it. Understand? I'm pretty sure I saw on several walls growing up. One is integrity, doing what's right when no one else is watching. Essentially,
That's right.
no, put in the work. We'll be back for episode what?
6, 2 hands.
Whether you
2 hands. Need 2 hands.
2 hands. 2 hands. Whether you like it or not, we'll be back. We'll see you later.